Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Liverpool fail to take the initiative. They fail to capitalise on poor performances and results from Chelsea and Tottenham this weekend. They fail and crack under the pressure and drop points to Fulham. They dropped points to Fulham. I repeat, they got outplayed and outmaneuvered by Scott Parker's Fulham today. A weird result, another embarrassing result for Liverpool. The same thing that happened against Villa, not the same scoreline, but just not at the races, being caught on the counter too early. And those opening 25 minutes for Fulham were absolutely astoundingly good. They got a penalty, an absolute penalty under the new law, and they got themselves back into the game. But really, in all sense and purposes, Liverpool looked nowhere near. They looked nowhere near winning this game. They didn't deserve to win this game. It's probably, I don't know, I feel like it's a little bit of an unfair result on Fulham when you look at the size and scale of both clubs. But Liverpool drop points. They do not capitalize, as we've said, on the situation they found themselves in this weekend. And that is unlike the Liverpool that we have seen and that we know from over the course of the last few years. Liverpool always capitalized upon this. Liverpool always got his team over the line, like Jurgen Klopp did. Liverpool always managed to just get the job done, to see things out, to get those points. And we said this, if you remember, go back a few months, O'Shea was on the line telling us that Liverpool are going to win the league again by 95 plus points. And I said, look, Liverpool are an amazing team, one of the best teams in the league, and they deserve nothing but credit for what they've done and for what they've achieved in football. There is no doubt about it. But to suggest for any one singular second that they're just going to do the same next year. These were the games they were winning last year. They were nicking those last-minute goals. They weren't conceding. They weren't being outmaneuvered. And more points dropped for Liverpool. There is a title race on this year. I don't care what anyone says to me. Spurs and Tottenham are within it because Liverpool are not as good as they were last year. The facts actually back that up as well. Ahmed here of a Super Chat says, this is all Klopp's fault, by the way. Tell me why it's Klopp's fault. I want to hear from you. But before we go any further, please hit the like button. Hit the like button for us right about now. Really important that you do that. Over 1,000 people tuning in right now. Let's get this stream, as we're live, past 500 likes. It'd be amazing if you could get that done. The panel will be here with us soon. We're going to share the link for yourselves to chat as well. But Liverpool sit second in the table. They should have capitalized today. Fulham, one of the worst teams in the league. It's a shocking result, really, to crack under that pressure and to not deliver its plore. Aaron here says, we got outplayed today. The first half was so bad, we didn't look up for it. I expected a huge bounce back on Wednesday. One of our worst performances. It certainly is one of the worst under Klopp in the last couple of years. If Fulham were a better team with better quality players, they would have beaten Liverpool tonight. So in some respects, Liverpool got away with one in many ways and still picked up a point. But as I say, dropping points at a much higher rate than they were last season. We'll take a quick look here at the Premier League table so you can all see it. But they do sit second. They're there on, actually, they'll be on 25 points now. That hasn't actually updated. Let me click the refresh button here. There we go. So they sit second on 25 points, but that's 4 draws and 1 defeat. You know, the win percentages, you can see, so much lower. It was over 90% this time last year. There's definitely been a drop-off from Liverpool this season. And, of course, the injuries have taken their toll as well, which I think most people expected. But is there really a title race? What did Jurgen Klopp and his men get wrong today? I want your thoughts. I want your feelings on this as we move forward through this show. Monso here says, we were lucky, Terry. First half reminded me of the Villa game. Reason it's Klopp's fault is why he's playing his big players on midweek in a dead game. I wanted to ask about that. I saw a lot of Liverpool fans kicking off about that earlier on in the week, saying that it was, silly of Klopp to play so many of his top players. It was silly of Klopp to not, he should have rested and rotated more. Shane here says, all top teams drop points this weekend. I'm shocked with Liverpool. Even with the injuries, they still have a good enough team. Look, Liverpool weren't playing Everton. Liverpool weren't even playing Crystal Palace. They were playing Fulham, a team with 2 victories in 12 games, a really poor team. Liverpool's lack of victory this weekend is a shocker. And we said this earlier on, Liverpool have been made near mortals again because of the injuries. But when you're in that mere mortal category, you're going to drop points. And it's going to feel hard for some Liverpool fans who are not used to dropping points, who have gone through a 3 or 4 year period, or 3 year period, where they just haven't dropped points. Sam here says Liverpool haven't won away this season. Come on, you Spurs. Let's go. Is that true? Have Liverpool not won away from home this season? Nah, bruv. Oh my God. They have. They've won one. I was just checking, but look at their away form. Liverpool's away form is worse than Arsenal's. It's worse than Arsenal's, bruv. It's worse than Arsenal's, bruv. Oh my. I hadn't taken any notice of that. Oh, yeah, do you know what? I wish every game was played away from home, because my team's wicked. Away from home. Liverpool, all their problems, as you say, are clearly away from home. I had no idea. Someone here says, we didn't lose. Yeah, you didn't lose, bro, but this is away at Fulham. That is a madness. That is a legit madness. I'm going to go here to the home form. They're probably top. Yeah, home form, top. 6 wins from 6. That fortress is keeping them alive this season. But my word, I had no idea that the away form was that bad for Liverpool. I hadn't really thought about it. But yeah, I suppose logically speaking, that's the case. One sec, peeps. One sec, everyone. But yeah, that's crazy. I'm actually a little bit shocked. I don't know why I expect so much more of Liverpool than maybe I do other teams, but there we go. Come and have your say. A comment here says VAR has robbed us twice away from home. I'm not, bro, but VAR didn't rob you. It means you got generally speaking, it means you got the wrong decision given in your favor in the first place. It's as simple as that. If VAR was really against you, like you make out, you wouldn't have won today's game. You'd have lost 2-0. So I would drop that agenda, bro. You're the best team in the league. You're the best team in Europe still, in my opinion. I actually still think you're better than Bayern Munich. You've got to take these defeats on the chin and understand that your team let up. It's as simple as that. Penalty decision was shocking. I agree with you. I thought that Fulham should have had a penalty. I also think that Liverpool's penalty was a penalty because under the new law, you can't put your arm out like that. It's as simple and straightforward as that. Daniel here says Fulham deserve more, a well-earned point there by Fulham. It is. And do you know what? For Fulham, a point in this game is probably a bonus because really and truly, they probably expected nothing from this football match. We're going to get some of the panelists on now. We're going to get your views and opinions heard as well and share the link with you very, very soon. Can't wait to see what Ram and these men have got to say. Let's jump straight into it, people. Smash that like button, though, by the way. Right now, hit that like button. Let's go. We've got Ram here. We've got O'Shea here. We'll start with Ram first of all. A poor performance and a poor result from your boys today against one of the worst teams in the league. What went wrong?
I think overall we were just slow. Our passing didn't work out well. We kept on losing the ball too many times. It was so frustrating to see. Like Fabinho, sometimes even Henderson was giving the ball away. We just couldn't get a string of passes going, and that's really what really cost us. Like we just gave the ball cheaply, and they kept on countering us. And the speed of Lookman and Cavallero, they're always going to do some damage. And big up my boy Alisson. Alisson saved it from being about 6-0 in the first half. It was that bad.
I understand all that, but why so poor today? So you are superior to Fulham in every single which way. The better manager, better team, better squad. Your away form this season, it's legitimately terrible. You're 16th in the away table. You can barely win away from home. You're conceding goals. What has Jurgen Klopp got to change to get yourselves sort of back on top? Because if that away form doesn't improve, it may be very difficult to retain your title.
I don't know, Terry. I honestly don't know. Like when you look at their away form, it's poor. It's worse than Arsenal's, which is hilarious. But I think it's a mentality thing. I think something Klopp needs to really get rid of inside these players. Like, I can't think of a reason other than the mentality of the players when it comes away from home. Like, the mentality at Anfield is second to none. Like, we've built a fortress there, and we're hard to beat. Let alone hard to get a point, let alone be defeated. But when it comes from away from home, I can't explain. It's something that Klopp has to have a look at.
I totally get you on that one. We've got some super chats here we're going to jump into and then go to O'Shea. Thank you very much for becoming an official member. Any of you can become official members by clicking on the link in our description below. Strip Bear says, today was great for Chelsea, losing yesterday, but also good for United, alas. It is true, Chelsea more than anybody have been let off the hook in this title race after losing to Everton, and that's got to be the real sort of bugbear for Liverpool and for Chelsea and for Tottenham, who both had much easier games this weekend. O'Shea, you told me your boys were going to get 95 plus points this season. There's absolutely no chance. I mean, what's wrong, and why is your away form so bad, mate?
Look, the away form is bad. First of all, yeah, I think people are looking at us now and saying, why are you performing so bad away from home? Why are you getting these draws against Brighton, against Fulham, you know, against Everton, etc.? But people need to understand we've had 16 major injuries. I'm not making excuses. I'm talking straight facts, Terry. If this was any other team, they wouldn't even be in the top four. The fact that we're level on points with top of the league, what does that tell you? Like, at the end of the day, I'm pissed off, yeah, because this is the second time we've done this. We've had the opportunity to go top. We did it when Chelsea drew with Spurs, and we ended up drawing with Brighton, and we've done it again today. Palace drew with Spurs. It was our opportunity to go top of the league, and we haven't taken it. But at the end of the day, I'm not too bummed out about it. It's a dreadful performance, and I'm more worried about the performance and seeing if we can, you know, not have more performances like that. But the actual result itself, I'm not too bummed out about, because at the end of the day, you need to look at the bigger picture. We've had 16 major injuries. Our back line, or not our back line, our Trent has only just come back.
Hang on a second. 16 major injuries. You've had two major.
Not major injuries, so 16 injuries.
Right. Okay.
And even, you know, you look at the two main ones, which is Van Dijk and Gomez. You know, we've had like Salah and Mane out for 2 weeks at a period of time. We've had all these little nitpicky little injuries out for 2 weeks out here and there throughout the squad. And it's been like that since the beginning of the season. People forget Alisson was injured at the beginning of the season as well, which did cost us some points. Look, I'm not making excuses, but if it was anybody else, they wouldn't even be in the top four. If Tottenham, Chelsea, or any other team had injuries like we've had, they wouldn't even be in the top four right now. So the fact that we're level on points with Spurs, top of the league.
I understand that, but I mean, the drop-off's massive. I mean, so you think, like this time last year, you were on 34 points. So it's 9 points difference between this time last year. Do you not also think just maybe last year, as brilliant as you were last year, you did have some of those games where you got those last minute winners, or teams missed great opportunities to get equalizers, and that maybe added an extra 10, 15 points to your total. Do you not think that's maybe part of this? And this year you're just it's just a little more normal.
Look, of course, Terry. Look, a lot of the results last season, even if you look at the Leicester one when we scored in like the 94th minute, not every result last season was we were just amazing and we went and walked teams. Like you said, a lot of the results were just last minute winners and teams not being able to get the equalizer. And, you know, this season has been a lot more normal. But when you have to look at the bigger picture. Look, I'm still confident we'll retain our title, and we've got another opportunity now, because on Wednesday we play Tottenham. So if we can beat Tottenham, then we'll go 3 points clear. And like I said, I don't know how Ram or Stroll feel about this, but I'm not too bummed out about the result, because I'm looking at it as in, look, we've had 16 injuries. Some of our players have only just come back. We're playing two midfielders in defence, and the worst we can perform is joint on points with top of the league. So if this was any other team with the injuries we've had, they wouldn't even be in the top four. So yeah. I'm not.
I understand where you're coming from, but you personally told me you were getting 95 plus points again.
Well, look, there's context for that, Terry. You need to understand. I've watched my team get 100 and I'm
not letting you off the hook, bro. Not even with that picture of you looking like an absolute beefcake. I'm not scared. What I'm saying is, bro, is I told you about context when you said it, and I said that you can't make that prediction because, yes, 3 of the last three years running, teams have won on these high points. I said, but there were 5 or 6 games you won this year, which on any other day you might have drawn or you might have lost, and maybe this season coming, they won't go your way. You discounted that. I said, what about injuries? You discounted that. You were so. That's why I think people are getting on Liverpool for only being level with everybody else. Is that there were a lot of Liverpool fans out there that were acting like they were completely and utterly invincible. And a lot of people said, well, you're the same as every other team. You're 1 or 2 injuries away from your levels dropping. And it was disregarded. And we all said this, we all said to you, if you get 2 or 3 actual major injuries that keep players out for long periods of time in key positions, it could impact you. And we were told by not all Liverpool fans, Monster, Strohs,
But Terry,
a lot of them like yourself said that you wouldn't drop off this dramatically, and you've been
that's all,
the mere mortal group.
That's all well and good saying that, Terry. And look, maybe I have got a bit of egg on my face right now, but I'm sure everyone else on the panel will agree. None of us could have foreseen this. Nobody was foreseeing Van Dijk getting an ACL injury and being out for the rest of the season.
Nobody predicted it, O'Shea, to that granular detail. Nobody predicted it and went, I know what's going to happen. You're going to start the season slowly, get beat 7-2. You're then going to get injuries to these 3 or 4 players. People just said generically, but you're so confident. What if you get a major injury or all? What if?
Of course, I've always maintained, Terry.
Like Thiago right now is looking like a really poor signing based on the fact that it took you all summer and he ain't kicked the ball. We're going to go to Stroh quickly. We've got Stroh here with us, bro. What's your thoughts on your performance today? Are you blaming it on injuries, or is this a team that, regardless, you should be beating?
Injuries is going to play a factor, but we weren't good enough with the players that were on the pitch. We didn't turn up in the first half. Should have been 4 or 5 goals down. Alisson proves to me why he's the best goalkeeper in the Premier League at the moment. If that's Adrian, if that's, to be fair, even though Kelleher's done really well, if that's Kelleher with 2 or 3 down and we're never clawing back from it. VR, another absolute mess. Got the Fabinho penalty completely wrong, and then the push on Salah completely wrong, but it kind of evened itself out. But listen, I've been sat there on the panel shows talking about injuries and stuff like that, and I understand to what O'Shea is saying to a degree. No one could have foreseen the amount of 20 plus injuries. Our entire back 5 gone. But that's Liverpool's fault. We should have gone and got a centre-back. The fact that we're having to play Jordan Henderson at centre-back when we're chasing a game to try and get points isn't good enough, and it's not good enough from Liverpool. And it's frustrating. But at the same time, if you'd have told me when Van Dijk went down and all the injuries we'd gone through, going into the Tottenham game, that we'd be on level points with him, I'd have snatched your hand off, because it just shows the mentality of this group. But for me, we're a mess at the minute away from home. I don't know what's going on. I heard talking about it as a mentality thing. It's not good enough. Nowhere near good enough from us. And we're the league champions, and we need to start acting like league champions, and it's frustrating.
I hear that. I want to say as well, we're going to get some more panelists involved on this now. We've added Chairs, we've added Cam as well. Really bad result this evening as well for Arsenal, with one of their relegation sort of fighting. The team's fighting relegation with Arsenal at the moment, picking up a point. So a lot of pressure on Arsenal with their game kicking off in about half an hour's time as well. I want to go to Cam on this one. Cam, Liverpool dropped more points away from home. They're actually worse away from home this season than Arsenal. If they don't improve that, do you think it could impact their ability to win the league?
I think what's happening is kind of what we all called out, like the injuries. And O'Shea's right, you have a ton of injuries, but everybody was saying when Liverpool gets hit with injuries, what are they going to do? Klopp's style of football is intense, and I think we're starting to see some drain on like the Manes of the world. Like Mane does not look himself. Firmino looks dead. I think it's starting to take a drain on these players, and Thiago not playing now. The midfield looks tired, so I don't think they're going to win the title this year. I'll be honest. I think this form is going to be something we'll see continuously unless they buy in January. That's my opinion.
But Cam, we're still joint top regardless of the injuries.
No, I agree. No, I'm saying it's impressive. It's very impressive. I said it in the channel. I said it. I'm like, listen, the fact that you guys are still doing well with all these injuries is impressive. But there's still 20-something games to go. So with all these injuries, people are still they're going to have to take time to get back in when they come back. Jota's not going to just jump back.
Come as well.
So in my opinion, I don't think you're going to retain the title because it's going to be tough playing the way Klopp plays. I think it's going to be hard for you guys, but it is impressive that you're still there. I can't say much. You're top.
Come.
My opinion.
I think that Liverpool. I hate what you're saying. I think Liverpool are still favourites. I think they've still got enough in their team to win the league. My issue is that when O'Shea comes out blase, if Chelsea had these injuries, they would be lower than us. That's really irrelevant because you're not ahead by a lot. you're not performing well. You couldn't tell me, even with the injuries, that it's just that fault that you can't even put 2 passes together. You can't like create chances against Fulham.
Bruv, this is not a full
That's
team.
got nothing to do with Van Dijk being injured.
You're talking about a team that's
but
lost.
Van Dijk getting injured, nothing to do with Mane and Salah today not turning up though. That's the thing.
Yeah, of course, and I'll never make excuses for those
last 12.
I'll never make excuses for those players. The same way I never made excuses for Firmino when he went on a
You
goal.
just made excuses. You just said.
I'll never make excuses for performances from individual players. I'll never do that. But you do have to take into consideration.
That's the thing, though.
You do have to take into consideration we've lost our best player, and Van Dijk necessarily isn't just our best player in terms of ability. He's our best player in the impact he has on the team, and that's a massive loss. Of course, I will never deny individual lackluster performances. Salah and Mane were non-existent today, and that is on them. Yeah, and I'll never deny that. But you do have to take into consideration we've had a lot of. It's not just little injuries here and there. We've had our most important player injured. We've had to play with 2 midfielders.
The injuries are the thing is, the injury thing. Wait, one second. The injury thing, I hear it, but it's just like everyone gets injuries. Man United and Chelsea key injuries last year. We had Kante. Who knows?
Nah,
you say we're doing the league. We're fair enough, but you can't use that as a lie for the whole season.
No.
The whole season.
But listen a sec. Now, but listen a sec, like you just said, I'm one of the most level-headed. I understand what you're saying, but context is key to this. I'm not making excuses. We were poor today, regardless of injuries and stuff like that. The amount of injuries Liverpool have had at this point of the season, our entire back 5 has gone until today. Like Trent out, Robertson was out, Gomez, Van Dijk, Alisson's been out, Henderson's been out, Thiago. So the 3 players who we brought in for squad depth
Mane and Salah have both been
non-existent. I understand what you're saying about key players, but you've never seen a team go through this amount of injuries at this stage in the season before. It's unheard of.
Yeah, you know what?
Let's not forget Mane and Salah have been out for 2 weeks for a period.
Let me ask a question. We're going around in circles. Let me bring this back, people. Let me bring this back. So, is any of this on Klopp? Because if any other teams were losing and drawing this many points away from home, we'd be talking about tactics and systems and motivation. You've got Mane playing out there, hasn't scored for Liverpool in over a month and a half, hasn't scored in the Premier League for Liverpool since the Everton game, which was nearly 2 months ago. So that's 2 months in the Premier League without a goal for Mane. Is a Liverpool beyond reproach when it comes to criticising Klopp, criticising players? Because I know if a certain Raheem Sterling or a certain Marcus Rashford or a Martial or an Aubameyang goes 2 games without scoring, there's heaps of criticism. I was told Mane is the best inside forward in the Premier League. The best inside forward in the Premier League can't go 2 months without scoring and not be criticised, surely.
No, but the thing is, one, he does deserve to be criticised because he has missed some big chances, but it's different than what Firmino's doing. So, for example, Firmino's not scoring goals, but his all-round gameplay is awful at times, and I've been the most critical from this point, from the beginning of the season to this point. He at times he hasn't been good enough. Whereas if you watch Mane in games, he's a threat. He's still doing things, and it's just his finishing's not there, and that's the frustrating thing. Because you look at Mane last season, Leicester 2-1, clutch moments, Aston Villa away, clutch moment, and it's just like I don't know what's happened. He's gone off the boil slightly, but he's still a threat in games apart from today where he was non-existent. So for me, I want to see what happens in the next 2 or 3 games, but definitely deserve criticism.
The thing is, though,
deserves criticism for being in this situation. We never should have been going into the season with 3 centre-backs, one of them being Matip, because this is the first time in about 3 years he's played back-to-back Premier League games. Look what happened. Has it also been
confirmed about Jota? Because I heard rumors it was 8
weeks.
8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks.
It's 2 months. Wow. I mean, that's a big blow as well, because I'm just looking at this now. Mane is in the worst form I've seen him since he's joined Liverpool Football Club, and on any level it isn't good. And again, this is the irony in it. His performances have been okay, but there's no output at the end of it. I wouldn't say he's been bad in his play and positioning. He's getting into the areas, and obviously Firmino, it's 2 goals all season in all competitions and just 2 assists. The output's not there, the play isn't there. Without Salah, you guys are not equalizing and scoring in games. If anything happens right now to Mo Salah, you could be banging trouble with Jota also being out injured. But the one thing I will say is this, and I know Liverpool fans are going to cry, and I know Liverpool fans are going to attack me, but this is something we spoke about last year, kind of off the cuff, that Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola, whether it's mental, physical, or both, their styles of play have a tendency after 2 to 3 years of being at the peak level of creating burnout. That was one of the reasons why you win league titles and win things at such a pace, because it's relentless. But there's been a lot of people talking about this for a long time, that when you work that hard at one end, it burns you out at the other. Could these injuries, and I'm not saying Jota and, of course, Thiago haven't been there, but could some of these injuries, Matip maybe being one of them? Well, we spoke to a journalist very close to Matip's family in the summer, who said he has no issue with Klopp as a man, but his reason for wanting to leave is Matip felt his body couldn't take playing for Klopp anymore. Could this be a ramification, the injuries, of the intensity of Jurgen Klopp's style and system? I'd like to hear Rack's thoughts on this, please.
So I think one of the most, especially in recent years, one of the most overstated things is the level of intensity that we play with. Because generally speaking, compared to how we played in the first couple of years under Klopp, we're not playing with the same intensity we didn't play last year or the season before. We were a lot more controlled in the way we press. We're a lot more controlled in the athletic input that's required. The injuries, in my opinion, are more a symptom of the fixture congestion and the number of games we've been playing and the shortened pre-season and all the COVID stuff. You know, people keep thinking that those 3 months we had off during lockdown, players were on holiday having a break. Like Gary Neville said that, which is nonsense. Like they were training every day. It's not like they were just sat on a beach somewhere. They were actually physically training. So yeah, I don't necessarily think that's an issue. Obviously, players are getting older. Oh, hello.
Hello. You saw Granddad? Yeah. You can say hello to everyone. Say hi. You're a big girl. Are you my baby?
I'm a little girl.
You're a big girl. Yep. Want to show everybody your tracksuit? Turn around, show them. It says your name on it, on your back. You see it? Yeah, you've got to turn that way. Yeah. And you wear your hood up. Where's your hat?
No, I want to find your hat.
You can't find your hat. All right, cool. Liverpool lost. Do you know they didn't lose? They dropped points. Is that good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, you go. I'll speak to you in a little bit. Say bye. Bye-bye. Love you. Yeah, bye. I can't come with you. I'm working, baby. All right, love you. Bye.
So I was making a really good point just then. I was making a really good point, and then she just threw me off completely.
Sorry, she's been a granddad. Sorry about that. Sorry, continue, mate. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, she was happy that Liverpool lost. I called her. She could have said no, and that would have made me look really, really silly.
We've got
go on, mate. Carry on, mate. We'll go to the super chat afterwards.
No, I think the problems are that we're experiencing more picture congestion and overplaying the players, and obviously when you have more injuries, then that means you've got a smaller pool of players to play from, and then they're being played even more and more, which makes them more susceptible to injury. So it becomes a bit of a vicious cycle. But it is.
I hear that,
you know,
guys. I do need
about it.
I get that. If anyone's using earbuds or Bluetooth, it really messes up the sound. I don't know why. StreamYard is mad like that. I've actually spoke to them about it, and they're like, "Yeah, it's a connection. It's a weird thing with their software. Just Bluetooth earphones go make a weird noise." We've got a comment here that says, "If you expect Liverpool to fight on all fronts, Champions League, FA Cup, you cannot realistically expect us to win multiple trophies with this many injuries. To important first-team players, it's ridiculous." Do you know what I would say to that? My view is great teams win multiple trophies in seasons. That's my standard. And I didn't create that standard to catch Liverpool out. Go back to videos I made 5 years ago before Liverpool were challenging, and I said the same thing. So that's my standard. If Liverpool are going to... Now, Liverpool don't need to challenge on all fronts to appease Terry Flewers, because I'm no one to them. Like, it ain't about me. But that's my standard. I can't change my standard and go, "Oh, well... Liverpool got all these injuries, so I'll allow them." Like, it happens. I've seen seasons where Man United played the whole year with Vidic and Rio injured, and for the majority of the season, we still won Premier Leagues. Now, I saw us one year miss out on a Premier League title where we had something like about 27 injuries to first-team players in that one particular year, and we ended up missing out on the league title by a point. You know, we didn't claim some mythological trophy because if we hadn't have had the injuries, these things just happen, and you have to take it on the chin. It's part and parcel of the way things go, and it's a reason for why you're not always winning. But it's just part of football, I think, and it needs to kind of be accepted in relation to that. We've got a few more super chats here. Jester here says Liverpool And then crying faces, injuries. That's from a Spurs fan. Daniel here says, giving Fulham no credit. What a shock. They deserve credit. On Fulham today, peeps, like, was anybody a bit like me, overly surprised at how good they played?
I couldn't believe what I was seeing. A bunch of their players showed up and played in immense. The one dude, the left back, Robinson, for me, I was like, that one-on-one challenge when Salah had him faced up, I was like, that's gonna be a goal. He's gonna take him. And when he put that diving tackle in, I was so impressed. And there was a workmanlike attitude today. They played so hard. Those guys from start to finish, we all said they're gonna burn out. No, they kept going, and it sucks that they got. I was hurt for them with that penalty, but it was.
We talk about the penalty decision. That was certainly a penalty.
It's just that what really pissed me off about this game is that they were winning every single second ball, and we were like static. We weren't doing much.
Yeah, but
really, really annoying me.
But Bram, here's the thing though. It's Fulham deserve every bit of credit. Like you said, they were winning first balls, second balls, third balls, but it's amazing what having home supporters back in the stadium does. That give them an extra 10-15%. And that Robinson, I wasn't surprised by that performance because there was a reason why you see Milan were looking at him. He's a phenomenal talent. Lookman looked dangerous all game. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, really. He was giving Fabinho some problems from the goal kicks and stuff like that. And I just thought their game plan was excellent. But they beat Leicester. They were unlucky not to pick up points against Everton. So this has been coming for a while. And now you've got the fans back. It was just a perfect recipe for them. And to be honest, they should have won the game.
The only performance I wasn't surprised of was their captain, Anderson. I saw the guy a little bit for Lyon, and he was immense. And today he was incredible for them. He was my man of the match for today.
Do you know what's interesting as well? I'm going to say this. I've got to say it in my chest, I suppose. If Man United win their game in hand, they're 2 points off top. But that's what's mad about this league is I don't think I'm not putting Man United in the title race. I'm not making that claim, and I haven't made that claim. But it just goes to show how tight things are for one reason or another.
Why not? Like when you say that, so sorry, I gotta ask a question because at the end of the day, if we're 2 points from top, if we win our game in hand, we've drawn against Chelsea, we've drawn against City, like why not? Like we're like that's my question.
Because I need to be fair here and keep the same logic I have. I've seen no evidence, although we've improved our win percentage. I've seen no evidence that we've got to push on to the next level of win percentage where we've got to start going above the 60% mark. Firstly, secondly, like winning more than say 4 or 5 games on the bounce, we haven't been able to do on the Ollie. Thirdly, clutch games where you can seize the initiative. So I can imagine us honestly winning out of all our games over Christmas. That wouldn't shock me. And we put ourselves within 2 points, and other teams drop points, and we're like 1 point off the top, and then we have to go and play Burnley in the game in hand to go top. And I imagine us losing that game. And until we start seizing the initiatives in certain games, I won't believe we can win things. And I use that logic when people tell me Chelsea have changed their ethos and they're gonna stick with playing academy players for the next 10 years. You've got to show me that you're going to stick by an academy player when he goes for a 6 month.
Terry, that logic makes sense for Tottenham and Chelsea as well, including Man United. I know,
of course, and that's my point. Rivals don't often like what I say because I'm not always sitting on my knees sucking their team off. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the fact that I have my standards and I have my way of looking at things, but I apply that same logic to every single team as best I can. And a lot of people will say to me, you're always defending Rashford. You don't defend Martial in the same way. Because Martial doesn't get the same criticism Rashford gets. Rashford goes 2 games without scoring, and that's people's confirmation bias that he isn't good enough. Yet you got the best inside forward in the league, hasn't scored for 2 months, and no one's talking about it. Because you don't want to. I just use the same logic on everyone. By the way, Mane, going through 2 months without scoring, still doesn't mean he isn't the best inside forward in the league. Barring Messi and Ronaldo, who broke the barometer, every attacking player, every goal-scoring attacking player goes through periods like Mane is having right now through the history of the game. The abnormality is the people that score every week. It isn't weird to go 2, 3, 4 months without scoring. It's so normal. It happens to every single top player in the Premier League at one stage or another. They had these droughts. Van Persie's season at United that won us the league. People forget. I think he went 3 months without scoring. but he still had an amazing year. It's weird that it's FIFA, like, because people score every week on FIFA. They're like, you've got to be doing it every week. It's crazy. So that's my answer in a nutshell, Cam. Really, a very big nutshell is that until we get ourselves over if we seize 2 or 3 clutch moments, if we get ourselves top of the league, say after winning a few games and a game in hand, and then win 2 matches after that, then I might start to believe. But until that point, I just can't allow. What it is, I can't allow myself. I have to keep saying it to people. I'm Alfie Moon and Man United's Kat Slater. I always think she's going to cheat on me. And you won't get that, Cam, as you're not a Brit and you don't watch EastEnders. But
you know what I will say though.
Yeah, I'll show you one sec. Terry, do you still think you'll finish second?
No, I changed my mind after the bad transfer. I put a 7th. I put Man United 7th after our bad transfer window.
That was criminal.
That's criminal. You know what I will say, yeah? With these injuries, maybe this is just wishful thinking, yeah, but with this Jota injury, I remember thinking this morning, this has got to be putting some pressure on FSG. Has to be for January. Has to be. Maybe it's my wishful thinking. Maybe we won't sign anybody. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But this really has to put some pressure on FSG because we didn't get our targets in the summer. Because I don't think Thiago was ever a target. I think had we got Werner, Thiago wouldn't be playing for Liverpool now. So I don't think we got our targets in the summer. And with these injuries now, I think Klopp has got to be banging on the door at FSG and telling them we need players, we need money spent. It has to be.
Hold on.
Isn't this the same person saying getting 95 points?
Sir, shouldn't you still be beating Fulham with Salah and Mane?
That's what I'm saying.
So you can't. You have Salah, you have Mane, you have apparently Curtis Jones, the best young midfielder in the league. You guys have top players, so you should at very least be beating Fulham.
It happens. It happens. It's football. It happens. We lost 3-0 to Watford last season. The season we were.
No, but you have won in the away games, bro. That's a trend. That's not.
You can't win it. Fulham. You just can't. We've learned that now. This is you guys and City have set the barometer that teams at the top cannot drop points against these lower level teams and win a league. That's been a standard set. That's what's happened to the league in the last few years.
What I like about Liverpool dropping points against a smaller team is I said this a long time ago, and recently as well, that Liverpool fans and City fans went through this as well, where they were indestructible almost for 2.5 years, and that's just worn off a little bit. And there's an element of there's sort of an element of mortality about them now, and some fans just don't like. Rack's really good at this. Rams call it Stro is. O'Shea's definitely just on the outside of that, where he's feeling that cognitive dissonance because he's like, I ain't used to being normal. Like being at the top is in one of the best teams, but just being normal and being part of everybody else. And you know what? It's all great teams. You know, once upon a time, no one used to get anywhere near Usain Bolt, and I watched 4 or 5 of Usain Bolt's last finals. And if he won, people were close behind him, and he lost quite a few. Like there comes a point where even the best are no longer the best anymore. Rack, you were going to say something, bro?
The last 3 years, in terms of points totals and consistency, which is ultimately what points equate to, are an anomaly. Like you look back through the entire history of football across all the big 5 leagues, the number of times that people get 95 plus points, you can count them on maybe 2 hands perhaps. I know Juve did it and. Real Madrid did it and things like that, but it's very, very, very rare. And there's no evidence to suggest that's going to be a long-term trend. So I think it's just a reversion.
Cool. We're going to do a few calls here from some panelists. We're going to give them a minute or so to have their say. They can chat to us. First of all, we're going to go to LFC Rants. LFC Rants, what do you want to say, bro?
Hey, hi, am I audible?
Bro, I really can't hear you, man.
Hello.
Yeah, that's so quiet, my brother. I'm so sorry. Honestly, can't hear you on that one at all. Try calling back again. Monsieur Ahmed is with us. What you saying, bro?
Hi, guys. You okay?
Yeah, all good. Give us your thoughts on that performance, mate. What went wrong?
Well, we were really lucky today. I mean, Fulham could have been 3-0 up in the first half. I mean, like Stroh said, this shows why Alisson is the best goalkeeper in the world. No, in the Premier League at the moment, sorry. But yeah, it was a poor performance. You can see Klopp just banging his chest and just passing going waywards. We weren't attacking. Mane, Salah, Firmino. I know Salah got the goal, but they were off pace to their usual standards. I remember I kind of want to mention that it's partly Klopp's fault because of the big players he was playing in the midweek. I mean, the reason why I pick up that is you complain about the fixture pile up, you complain to BT, Sky Sports that we've got a congested game. Yet you in a dead game where you're top of the group, you won the group, and you're putting out the likes of Fabinho, Jota, Salah. And look at Jota just got a 2 months injury. And you complain and complain, but then you play your big players and it makes no sense. And now look at that. Jota's out for 2 months. And that game proved how tired we looked in that game with the Trent, with the Fabinho, with Matip. That's all I gotta say, really.
Listen, I hear you on that. I think you make some good points. You make some genuine good points there, because it does hit Klopp in between the legs when he moans about my players and my players this, my players that, too many games, and then he had a game that he could have rested everybody in. And I think Liverpool fans are right to be frustrated by that, especially after he's been complaining about it. Bonser, thank you very much for your call. And listen, all this channel means a great deal. Thank you. Yeah, you can add something now, mate. We're just going to move through the call.
I said it a couple of weeks ago that, in my opinion, that if we're going to win this league, Klopp needs to go back to his tactics where he had at Dortmund, go to that 4-2-3-1, the one that we played against Man City, because I feel like it's 4-3-3 because we're running out of defenders, and that we have to put our midfielders in defense. We need that extra cover in midfield.
And why did Matip go off today? Was he injured?
Back injury.
That guy is again. This is where I feel a little sorry for Klopp, but at the same time, the club has to look at themselves. The guy was a walking injury. You signed another walking injury in Thiago, and then it's like you're shocked when players get injured. It's crazy. We had it at Man United. The last 2 or 3 years of Vidic and Rio, they couldn't stay fit, and it would frustrate me that in that period we didn't go out and buy a top-class centre-back to replace one of them. This weird hope that, okay, hopefully this season they'll get over their injury problems. It's mad. Next up on the show, we've got Stephen. Stephen, what are you saying, bro?
Overall, not a good performance at all. You know what I mean? I thought that was one of the worst performances I think I've seen us play, for a while. Not for a while, but like some of the games away. You think of Aston Villa, you think of Brighton, you think of all them sort of fixtures that probably needed to win to get on top of the league again. All I would say is, I was baffled by some of the decisions Klopp made today, if I'm being honest with you. You think of Origi, he's not the same player he used to be, like from like last year. I just didn't get that decision at all. And I thought when Trent went off, I thought I was a bit of a downgrade, but I thought Nico did well when he came on. And for me, some of these, if we're going to go forward now, in terms of if we're going to win this league, we have to show more passion than ever. Home we can do that at Anfield. But going forward,
yeah, I hear that. I think
can't take these conversions for granted anymore.
Yeah, no, I get that, Stephen. Thank you for your call, mate. I appreciate it. I'm telling Liverpool fans this now. If you win the league this season with the injuries and the fact that other teams are pushing you so hard, it will mean more to you than the 90-odd points victory where you walked it. It always does. It's like, although we all want to win every match 5-0, winning a close game with a very last-minute goal, it always feels better. And that's what a league title win this year will do, which is why, O'Shea, and I'm going to pull on you again because we spoke about this a lot, the points total thing for me is a factor in how good a team you are. But there's so many other. You said context is important. It's also how good other teams are. Because if there's other teams that are not as good as you and can't challenge you, you're likely to accumulate more points. But as a year goes by, and the one thing is injuries have played a part. But Tottenham and Chelsea, for examples, have all improved. And you look at the other teams that have improved this year. Southampton are flying. Leicester have started well again. Even the likes of West Ham are picking up points that they wouldn't have done last year. And remember, there's only mathematically. There's a maximum amount of points that can be handed out amongst all the teams. And if 5, 6, 7 other teams all start winning more points than last year, it's a mathematical certainty that Liverpool can't have as many. Likely that Liverpool can't have as many points. If every team wins more points than last year, those points come off Liverpool's total because the same amount of points are just spread around.
And it's psychological as well. And obviously, last year, if Liverpool are doing so well and they look behind them, or they look in front and there's no one there, and they look behind them and everyone's far behind, trailing, can't pick up points against smaller teams, when this season is the opposite, it will affect them mentally as well. And that's kind of showing in their away games because they're not able to get over the line.
I hear that. There's a comment here that says it's a season like no other. The fluctuating performances for all big teams in the league, including us. I can't say Liverpool are favourites even after results like Leicester and Wolves. I will say that in my opinion, Liverpool are still favourites because they are still the best team. But I do hear you. What I do find interesting is there's only one of the top six who's really being dragged over the coals for having inconsistent performances, and it's weird. Next up, we've got Samad, who's on the line, last caller of the night. What you saying, bro? With the rising baller emoji as well. What's going on, bro?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm good. Are you a rising baller?
Yeah, I'm a fan of rising baller as well. Yeah.
Lovely. I thought you might have been one of their players. I weren't sure. What do you want to say, mate? What do you want to say?
I think the performance of Liverpool was so poor. Fulham, they have some chances to score more than 2 goals. But I think Liverpool will be fine. But I still favor Liverpool to win this title as well.
Listen, I think Liverpool can do it. I still think they've got the players to be able to do it. I really, really do, mate. Listen, thank you for coming on, having your say and supporting the Football Terrace. It means a great deal to us. Burnley and Arsenal are now walking out onto the pitch for their relegation battle fight. It's going to be an epic game. Just to throw it into context about what the injuries have done to Liverpool. Liverpool's start to the season is 32% worse than last year.
It's expected.
It wasn't expected. You never expected it at the beginning of the season.
I think it's a
Not
mixture
at the
of three
beginning of
things.
the season, but when we knew that the injury was going to happen.
So I think it's
No, go on, Rishi. Go on, Rishi.
I think it's a mixture of 3 things. Sorry, Ram. Sorry. Yeah, I think it's a mixture of 3 things. I think, like you said, Sarah, I think teams like Chelsea and Tottenham have improved massively, and also Liverpool's injuries. But I also think we've underperformed because even before our injuries, and I will say this, we hadn't been on form since about February last season.
Do you know what? And mate, listen, I'm so glad you brought that up because I've ignored that on this show on purpose. I was talking about that from February onwards, and I was being called a hater, and it's because we've won the league at a canter. And the only Liverpool fan that was chatting about that regular was Drifty from Coppish, and he was the only one that was real. Every other Liverpool fan that I posed that question to said not worried about it. And if you look at your win percentage since February till now, it's the same as the other top teams in England. It isn't as elite as it was. Maybe just maybe you've leveled out a little bit.
Yeah.
Or people have caught you up. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it's an interesting one to see what happens. The injuries are obviously the convenient excuse. But when you look at how many games you lost and abject performances you had from February until those injuries, it's certainly there. It's a great point. Everyone who's tuned in, a massive thank you to all of you. We're live again in a couple of hours. Terry, do you have a new song to banter Liverpool? For Banter FC if they lose? No, I had a Liverpool one ready, but I didn't lose. You're all going to have to wait to see that. I'll only do it when they lose, not when they draw. AFTV, Burnley starting in a few moments' time. Until then, everyone, thank you. Take care. Goodbye.